trip to the Chippy led to a man being jailed for nearly 30 years. Thomas Speed was identified as using the Encrochat handle Simple Creek after his supposedly secret message showed him referencing a chip shop which was next to his house, as well as a tarmacking business. He and two other men, James Salkeld and Scott Roseau, were handed a combined total of more than 65 years behind bars, having used the encrypted communications platform to traffic firearms and wholesale quantities of Class A drugs. Trial at Liverpool Crown Court heard that Speed and Roseau were involved in the supply of heroin and coke on a commercial level, trading in kilogram quantities of tens of thousands of pounds apiece. They also used the account Simple Creek and Mystic Kangaroo, respectively, in order to thrash out deals for guns before the network was infiltrated by French police in 2020. The prosecutor, Stephen McNally, described how the former was linked to his username by the Northwest Regional Organised Crime Unit after being referred to as Tom by other users, while he was also used the user Flamecalm that he was called Speedy during one conversation. Speed was meanwhile asked that you tarmac by Slight Drake, having been the owner of a business, which was a tarmacking business, and the 37-year-old further referenced his line of work while speaking with Hunted Elf, sending a picture of paving stones that he got pulled up alongside the message, got 35 meter squares to do this street, then I'm done. Easy day, flag out macking. Speed later arranged a meeting with a ski bat on April the 14th by saying, go to the shops by ours, mate, the Sea Breeze Chippy, I'll be there in 10. His home was said to have been located near this Chippy, which was literally a 1-minute drive away. The dad also sent a picture of his children playing inside his living room to a Hunted Elf, informed King Wasp that it was his birthday, and referenced being subjected to a serious assault in which he suffered head injuries. Roseau of East London was meanwhile unmasked as Mystic Kangaroo through messages which saw him or his name given away. Cell sighting and automatic number plate recognition data also linked the movements of the 41-year-old's Encrophone, personal mobile and rented Mercedes. And Salkeld was shown to have been the user of the handle Best Golfer through messages concerning the arrest of his brother, a trip to Amsterdam, and the death of a family member. 37-year-old from Kirkdale to be extradited back to the UK from the Netherlands following his arrest in November 2022, having also used Encrochat to plot the supply of firearms and Class A drugs. Speed's previous convictions including receiving 3.5 years for Class A drug trafficking in 2008, and his defence said there has been large proportions of his life where he has engaged in legitimate and to some degree successful businesses. He has for whatever reason adopted this way in which to make a living back in 2020. Before that, Your Honour, sees the businesses he has built up in the past and is able to support his family in a legitimate way. Roseau's criminal record contains entries for possession of a firearm with intent to cause fear of violence in 2003 and supplying heroin in 2007. His defence said he was last sentenced by a court some 17 years ago. He said prior to 2003 he was someone in further education or working towards a legitimate and positive lifestyle before an incident arose out of a party and became a serious adult situation with a firearm. Then he said Mr. Roseau got clean and fathered a number of children and took responsibility for another with substantial needs. He has his life back on track, although the jury concluded that he was indeed Mystic Kangaroo. He also submitted that it could not be concluded that any of the deal for any firearm had been successfully concluded. Added there was no evidence of a lavish lifestyle. He is not someone who could be said to own anything of real value. Salkeld has previous convictions for antisocial behaviour and driving matters, last coming before the courts when he received an 8-month sentence for a fray in 2019. And his defence said a letter from his ex-partner is evidence of the positive sides to his character. His remorse we put forward is genuine. We say that manifests itself and how he has conducted himself in custody. So Speed, he was found guilty of conspiracy with possession of firearms for sale or transfer, conspiracy to possess ammunition, and conspiracy to supply Class A, and he was jailed for 28 years. You got Roseau. He was convicted of 2 counts of conspiracy to possess firearms, 2 charges of conspiracy to possess ammunition, and conspiracy to supply Class A. He was handed 22 years. And Salkeld, he was pleaded guilty to conspiracy to possess firearms and ammunition and conspiracy to supply Class A, and he was locked up for 15 years and 4 months. Judge Louise Brandon said that Speed had an ability to source firearms as and when, while Salkeld acts as a go-between in the supply of guns, adding, "You have contributed to the degradation and human misery that drugs cause to those who take them, the family of those who take them, and the wider society affected by crime, it is inevitable that your own families will also suffer. And in this next story, an investigation into the fatal shooting and stabbing of 17-year-old Tyler McDermott and the attempted murder of another male has concluded with 4 men convicted for their involvement. Detectives worked round the clock following the incident outside a music studio in Tottenham to identify the suspects involved in the attack. This complex investigation included painstaking analysis of hundreds of hours of CCTV footage to bring those to justice. Detective Sergeant Devon Taylor, in charge of the murder investigation, said, "My thoughts remain with Tyler's family, who have remained dignified, and I commend them for the way they have carried themselves during these extremely difficult few months. Tyler was a son, a brother, and a nephew, and losing him has absolutely devastated his family. I sincerely hope these convictions will help them provide with some closure. No family should ever have to suffer the loss of a loved one. I'm grateful to the jury for the care and attention they have shown throughout what has been an exceptionally long and complex murder trial. This is a very sad incident that tragically led to an innocent young life being lost to a cold and senseless killing. These young men had no choice that night, and for reasons only known to them, they chose to resort to violence. Tyler McDermott and his friend left a music recording studio when he was shot and then stabbed by a group of men. At court, the prosecution case was that tensions began to arise after one of the defendants involved in the case became upset about being filmed inside the studio. This resulted in a confrontation outside the studio and led to Tyler's murder. Tyrese Barnett and Leo Reed were both found guilty of Tyler's murder following a 3-month trial out of the Old Bailey. Barnett was also found guilty of attempted murder in relation to Tyler's friend and possessing a firearm with intent to endanger life. Reed also pleaded guilty to possessing an offensive weapon in a public place, and 2 other people have also been convicted for their involvement in Tyler's murder. The court heard that in the early hours of the morning of Thursday, 13th of April, police were called to reports of a male injured on Norman Road. When officers attended, they found 17-year-old Tyler suffering from gunshot and stab wound injuries. Tyler was taken to hospital for treatment, having sustained life-threatening injuries on Friday, 14th of April. He sadly died as a result of these injuries, and a murder investigation was launched by a detective from the Specialist Crime Command. Working around the clock to establish the circumstance of the tragic incident, detectives recovered that Barnett shot Tyler and Reed struck him with a large machete when he was already laying on the floor with gunshot injuries. The jury also heard that Barnett had discharged a firearm a second time while aiming at the gun at Tyler's friend. Fortunately, he missed and Tyler's friend was not harmed. Barnett and Reed were arrested together at Heathrow Airport waiting to board a flight on Saturday, 15th of April 2023. The examination of CCTV footage from inside and outside of the recording studio also showed what other people were doing that were present at the time of the attack. So guys, there's a number of stories coming out from the streets of the UK. It's your boy GT. Keep it locked, keep it real.